Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our Group of 5 conference recaps, and today we are taking a look at the American Athletic Conference, a group that has 25 wins versus Power 5 opponents the past 3 years, and also has a team that has a national title to their name. And the American Athletic Conference has been so competitive the past few seasons that they want to be considered a Power Conference to make it a Power 6 instead of just the Power 5 conferences that we have now. But once again, we expect them to be very competitive in 2019, and we expect very competitive races in both the Eastern Division and the Western Division. And we'll kick things off over here in the East, and it shouldn't be a surprise that we have UCF winning this division with an 11-1 record and a 7-1 record overall. Josh Heupel has done a phenomenal job taking over for Scott Frost. They went undefeated 2 years ago under Scott Frost, all the way through beating Auburn in that Peach Bowl. And last year, the Knights went undefeated once again in the regular season, but fell to LSU in the Fiesta Bowl to snap their 25 or 26 game win streak. So it was a phenomenal season once again for the Knights, and they returned plenty of talent, including transfer quarterback Brandon Wimbush coming over for Notre Dame, and he will more than likely be the starter in Week 1. Mackenzie Milton not going to play this year, and Dariel Mack dealing with an ankle injury. Wimbush, if he can live up to his potential, UCF will not see much of a drop-off in the offensive production. So they have a much favorable schedule than the other teams in the Eastern Division. Their toughest game, of course, coming on the road at Cincinnati. And that's who we have coming in at number 2 in the East. The Bearcats, led by Luke Fickell, we have coming in at 9-3, 6-2 in conference play. And last year, Fickell led the Bearcats to an 11-2 record. And that was behind a dominant defense that allowed just 17.2 points per game and a young quarterback in Desmond Ridder. Well, Ridder is back. Their running back, Michael Warren, is back, and he was dominant on the ground last year, and they returned practically all of their wide receivers from 2018. Cincinnati does get to host Central Florida, and that could play a major role in determining who wins this Eastern Division, but Cincinnati does have to go to Houston, South Florida, Memphis, and have out-of-conference games against UCLA and Ohio State. So a much difficult schedule for Cincinnati, more so than Central Florida. But still coming in at number 2, a chance at a 10-win season. And if this happens for Cincinnati, I would figure to bet that Luke Fickell will be out of Cincinnati and taking a Power 5 job in 2020. Then we have South Florida coming in at number 3, tied in conference play with Cincinnati at 6-2, but just 7-5 overall. And that's the exact same regular season record the Bulls had last year, which doesn't sound too bad until you realize that Charlie Strong in South Florida started the season off 7-0, but lost their final 6 games. So they lost their final 5 regular season games and then dropped their bowl game. Their offense should improve drastically in 2019. Will be very strong, led by Blake Barnett at quarterback, who should take a major stride forward in year 2 as starter, and they have another dominant running back, a heavy runner in Jordan Cronkite. They returned 6 starters defensively, but allowed 32 points per game and 248 rushing yards per game in 2018. That has to improve if Charlie Strong and his Bulls want to contend for an Eastern title. I don't think they're going to be able to improve that drastically, but will once again get to a bowl game. Then we have Temple, a brand new head coach, and so much chaos they've had this past offseason. So finally trying to get back to a sense of normalcy. Rod Carey comes over from Northern Illinois. He becomes the 5th head coach at Temple in the past 4 seasons. Because if you remember, Manny Diaz was named head coach of the Owls. But then the Miami job opened back up after Mark Richt's all of a sudden retirement, and Manny Diaz jumped ship and went back to take the head coaching job at Miami. And really, can you blame him? But Rod Carey did phenomenal things with the Huskies in the MAC, and I would expect him to do phenomenal things here at Temple. They've been to 4 straight bowl games. And last year, they beat Maryland by 21, also beat Cincinnati in Houston. So the talent is here for Temple to contend for the East and get back to their 5th straight bowl game. Carey, like I said, did great things at Northern Illinois, was a perennial bowl team there. I would expect nothing less during his time here at Temple. And we had them making a bowl game at 6-6, but 3-5 in conference play. And then you have your bottom 2 teams in the East, and that once again shouldn't be a major surprise. Eastern Carolina and UConn. And we'll start with the Pirates going 4-8, 2-6 in conference play, and that's actually an improvement. They have a brand new head coach themselves, and Mike Houston coming over from FCS powerhouse James Madison, the team that won the 2016 national championship. And he did great things there, as we mentioned, but Scotty Montgomery here with Eastern Carolina was there for 3 years and went 3-9 3 years in a row. That simply wasn't cutting it. I expect Mike Houston to turn this team around very quickly. They'll be very competitive in 2019. Could flirt with bowl eligibility if they can get a couple things to go their way, but we had them falling a little bit short at 4-8. But he is certainly the right man for the job. Could have the Pirates back in a bowl game as soon as next season. And then poor UConn coming in at last, 2-10, 0-8 in conference play. Last year they went 1-11, and now, as we all know, UConn is getting booted from the American Athletic. They're going to become an independent in 2020, where they were back in 2000 and 2003. But this UConn team, man, they're struggling. They're struggling bad. They went 1-11 last year. They became the second team since 1918 to allow over 50 points per game defensively. That's how bad this UConn team was. I think Randy Edsall and this team improved slightly. They technically doubled their win total from 2018, but nowhere near close enough to go bowling, nowhere near close enough to contend in the East. 2-10 for the Huskies. Maybe independent life will fare better for them in 2020. We then switch over to the West here, and we have a bit of a upset of sorts, with Houston winning the West over Memphis despite having a worse overall record than the Tigers. But as you can see, we have Houston going 6-2 in conference play, while Memphis we have going just 5-3. And we'll go ahead and start with the Cougars. A big part of the reason that we have Houston winning this game is because of their head coaching hire and Dana Holgorsen. The reason we have Houston winning this division is because of Dana Holgorsen coming back to Houston after serving as head coach at West Virginia. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the American Athletic Conference, maybe arguably the best quarterback in the American Athletic, and D'Eriq King, who threw for over 2,900 yards, 36 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions, while also rushing for nearly 700 yards and 14 touchdowns. So 50 total touchdowns on the year for D'Eriq King. He returns his top 3 wide receivers. So this offense, I really don't expect to take a major step back, especially with an offensive-minded coach and Dana Holgorsen. And they have a prime opportunity to show what they're made of with games against Oklahoma and Washington State in non-conference play, and then, of course, games against Memphis and everybody in the Western Division. So this is a team that really could win the West because of their offense. I think their defense improves a little bit after allowing 37.2 points per game in 2018. And I think Dana Holgorsen wins the West and has a showdown against UCF, which we'll get to here in a little bit. Memphis coming in at number 2, 8-4 overall, 5-3 in conference play, sharing the same record with Navy, who will have a major turnaround in 2019. But Memphis is a team that has the talent. They've made the American Athletic title game the past 2 seasons, falling to UCF both times. Brady White returns at quarterback, and I think everybody wants to kind of forget about Memphis because they lose that star runner and Darrell Henderson. But what people didn't know is that they had another great running back right behind Henderson in Patrick Taylor, who rushed for over 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns. So they had a dynamic duo there, but everybody was so focused on Henderson, they kind of forgot about Taylor. Their offense will once again thrive with Mike Norvell as the head coach there, but I think in the end, they fall right behind Houston in this game. I believe Houston gets to host this game in the regular season, and that's what's going to give them the advantage. That home field advantage against Memphis is what's going to decide the West, and we have the Cougars doing just that. We then have Navy coming in at number 3, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play. And what a turnaround we have them doing. After going just 3-10 last year, we have them having a 4-game swing in 2019. Now, Ken Numatalolo, hope I got that name right, is going to go to his 10th bowl game in 12 seasons with the midshipmen. And per usual with military academies, Navy does not return that many starters. But one of their starters this year is Malcolm Perry, an experienced quarterback who obviously knows how to run the football in this Navy offense, rushed for over 1,000 yards last year and 7 touchdowns, and unfortunately their offense was their worst since 2012, only having just 25 points per game. Those numbers will go way up in 2019 with this more experienced offense and with an experienced quarterback at the helm. I expect Navy to get back to their winning ways. We'll get back to a bowl game, but once again, not enough to jump Memphis or Houston, arguably the top 2 teams in the West. We then have Tulane coming in at number 4, making their first bowl game since 2013 last year and winning their first bowl game since 2002. Willie Fritz doing a phenomenal job with the Green Wave. And I think this year they could be even better. They have Justin McMillian back at quarterback, so a veteran quarterback there, and Darius Bradwell rushed for over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns last year. So this Tulane team offensively will be better than they were in 2018 and arguably have one of the top defenses in the entire American Athletic Conference. They have 8 starters coming back on that side of the ball, and I think Willie Fritz gets them to their second straight bowl game. Doing great things there, 7-6 last year, 6-6 in the regular season, a chance at another 7-win season this year. We didn't have SMU coming in second to last, but 6-6 in conference play, which would be a great year under Sonny Dykes. They went 5-7 last year, and the main reason we have SMU going bowling is because of their transfer quarterback, kind of like UCF up here, getting Shane Buechele coming over from Texas. Sam Ehlinger obviously won that job by a landslide, but Buechele stayed in the state of Texas, comes over to SMU, gives this SMU offense a spark that they need to pair with a defense that returns 9 starters. The schedule for them is extremely tough. Road games against TCU, South Florida, Houston, Memphis, and Navy, so the schedule not going to be easy for them, but if they can win a couple of road games and take care of business at home, they're going to go bowling in 2019. And then Tulsa to close things out, sitting there at 3-9. They went 3-9 last year. Philip Montgomery trying to do his best with the Golden Hurricane. The talent just simply isn't there. They're going to be much more competitive in 2019. Mark my words on that. They had 4 games decided by just 1 possession last year. So that 3-9 season could have very well been a 7-win season for them. And they just weren't able to get the job done. The ball didn't bounce their way in that one. But they draw the top 3 teams from the East, UCF, Cincinnati, and South Florida. Plus, dealing with Houston and Memphis and an improved Navy team, the schedule is simply too difficult for Tulsa, compared also with the out-of-conference games they're going to have. So I think the Golden Hurricane have another down year in 2019, 3-9, 1-7 in conference play. And after all of that, you see that we have Central Florida and Houston meeting in the American Athletic Conference Championship game. And if you like offense, this is the game for you. The American Athletic Conference, period, is the conference for you if you like offense. But this game in particular will certainly be the game. You've got a dynamic offense in Central Florida, as it's been the past 2 seasons. And then you've got Houston's dynamic offense with De'Aaron King and those wide receivers and an offensive mind in Dana Holgorsen. This game is going to be so much fun to watch. But Central Florida gets to host this game against the Cougars. The Cougars will certainly be more battle-tested. With those games against Oklahoma and Washington State, that's going to benefit them greatly. And don't be surprised if they pull off an upset in one of those games. But for the 3rd straight year, we have the Knights winning the American Athletic Conference Championship. We had them clinching that title for the 3rd straight year, the 2nd year in a row under Josh Heupel. The offenses are going to be great, but who has the defensive edge? Who can get the stops? And that's UCF. A team that returns 5 starters, allowed us 22.7 points per game last year, versus Houston, dealing with a brand new head coach, returns just 4 starters and allowed 37.2 points per game last year. UCF owns the edge defensively, owns a slight edge offensively in experience, clinches their 3rd straight American Athletic Conference title, and has a shot at another New Year's 6 bowl game appearance. So guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And of course, check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team, sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And once again, guys, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.